Disclaimer. The content in this video is for informational and entertainment purposes only. I am no longer a certified firearms instructor, certified armorer, and/or a legal expert. Handling, operating, and modifying firearms comes with inherent risks, and it is your responsibility to ensure you are following all applicable local, state, and federal laws. Always practice proper firearm safety and consult with a certified professional before attempting anything shown in this video. By watching this video, you acknowledge that you are responsible for your own actions, and JJ Actual assumes no liability for any harm, injury, damage, or legal consequence that may result. Use at your own risk. Have you ever wondered what all those technical terms mean when people talk about handguns, slide, frame, barrel? What does it all actually do? Well, today, let's break it down. I'm JJ, and today we're diving into the nomenclature of a handgun, so you'll be more informed and hopefully more comfortable around these tools. I also want to show you how to properly clear a handgun and how to do the press check. See you at the workbench.
This is JJ Actual. We are Oscar Pike.
All right, welcome to the workbench. I'm going to try to do this in all one take, so that way we can ensure that the firearm's in a safe condition. Whenever you work with firearms, when you're breaking them down, tearing them apart, or manipulating them, doing any kind of practice checks, you want to make sure that you do not have any live ammunition in the proximity of firearms. All right. As you can see here, the rounds that I'm using are actually dummy rounds / snap caps. See if I can show that up on camera here. There you go. All right. Have 2 magazines here, but there are dummy rounds only, no live rounds on this table. All right. We're going to go over nomenclature in a little bit, but before I do, I want to make sure and show you guys that these firearms are clear. All right. I have 3 firearms / handguns on the table here. The SIG P365X Macro, my Wilson Combat 1911, as well as my 44 Magnum Smith & Wesson revolver. When you clear your firearm or your handgun, what you want to do is you want to make sure that not only do you visually see inside, but you also digitally check as well. Okay? So you can see in there that the firearm is clear. No rounds in there. No magazine. That one is clear. Okay? Going to go same thing with the 1911. We're checking visually and digitally, and there's no magazine. Show the camera that. No magazine. Okay? That one is clear. Revolver. The revolver is a little interesting. Reliable, but interesting. So just want to show you here. No rounds inside the revolver. Nice and empty. All 3 weapon systems are empty. All right. So first we're going to go over the frame. Okay. The frame is the backbone of the handgun. It houses the trigger mechanism. I shall be using my handy dandy Glock takedown tool as a little shower pointer dealio. All right. So you have the trigger mechanism inside the housing of the frame. All right. Provides structure for everything that everything else is attached to. If you have a semi-automatic pistol, which is these guys here, the frame usually includes the grip and sometimes the trigger guard. Okay, as you can see here, the revolver, it's kind of all one piece, so there's less moving parts in terms of reciprocating mass and things like that. So something to consider. Next is the slide. This top portion here is the slide. Okay, it is the upper part of the semi-automatic handgun, and it moves back and forth when fired. All right. It contains the firing pin or striker. All right. So I chose these 2 firearms specifically because they have, essentially one is a striker fired handgun and the other one utilizes a firing pin that slides back and forth. Okay. So it is also responsible for chambering the rounds, ejecting spent casings, and resetting the firing mechanism. I'm trying to keep this relatively basic, so that way it's not overwhelming for the audiences who don't really know this stuff, okay? The barrel, that's the barrel right there. Should I get that on camera? Yep, looking good. All right. This one's simple. This is where the bullet travels when fired. All right. Longer barrels usually mean more accuracy, but they also add weight and size of the gun. So there's a saying that lighter guns are easy to carry, harder to shoot, and heavier guns are harder to carry but easier to shoot. Okay. So another thing, the reason why is typically barrel length is going to also correspond with slide length. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and set these slides forward here. All right, so if you can see here, the distance from the rear sight to the front sight, I'll get that on camera, all right, is a lot further than the one on my X Macro. Okay, so that is called sight radius. So when you have this thing pointed down and you're looking down the sights, okay, let's see if I can do this here. It's kind of a weird angle. Let's see here. I realize it's kind of pointing at the ground here. It's not pointing at me. I know the camera looks like that, but I try to, always practice the safety rules. Never let the muzzle cover anything you're not willing to destroy. Even though I know these are empty, even though I've showed you these are empty, I still don't want to get in the habit of flagging anybody. And flagging means basically you take the, this right here is the barrel, you're swinging around and you're flagging people with it, okay? You're covering people that you shouldn't be doing, okay? Next piece is the trigger. See if this is getting on camera? Yes. The trigger here. I'm gonna go ahead and half close that cylinder there. The trigger, self-explanatory. That's where you press to release the firing mechanism inside. Different handguns have different trigger types. Single action, double action, or striker fire systems. All right. Another reason why I chose these style of handguns is to show you. Okay. So, 1911. There's a visible hammer here. Okay. Should we get it on camera? I'm not getting that on camera. Now I'm getting it on camera. All right. You actually have a visible hammer, an exposed hammer here. Okay. So when this thing is fired, all right, when you pull the trigger again, if for some, when that goes forward, it's going to actually send the firing pin forward. It's going to hit the primer of the round, and that's going to cause a miniature explosion inside, which causes chamber pressure to build up, and the bullet's going to exit the barrel. Well, that happens is it's going to cause an effect where the slide is going to recoil to the rear, okay? That will reset. As you can see, the hammer is now to the rear, okay? Then you can go ahead and press the trigger again to the rear. Now, I'm hoping that in these videos, I can add in a little bit of tips and tricks for you guys. So if you notice, I don't say pull the trigger. I say press the trigger. And the reason why is because you're actually just pressing that trigger to the rear. In your mind, when you think of pulling the trigger, that associates with typically jerking or yanking the trigger. And trigger manipulation is probably the #1 reason why you miss your shots. Okay? So, as you can see, if the hammer is forward and I go ahead and try to pull that trigger, nothing's happening. Okay? Kind of same thing. Similar action with the striker fire handgun. All right? To the rear, press the trigger to the rear slowly. You hear the click. If I go ahead and release it and press it again, there's no sound. Okay? It's not until you reset it that you hear that little click, then it goes again. Now, the revolver, hammer goes to the rear, press the trigger, or to the rear, hammer slams forward. Now, with double action, this revolver, double action, as you see, as I slowly press the trigger to the rear, the hammer is slowly going back. Then it fires forward. Okay? Now, that's gone over the different single action, double action. Okay, now this thing here, all right. I've heard it plenty of times called a clip, and it's kind of my pet peeve that they call it a clip. Firearms do have clips. You know, when you have like the M1 where you're putting the stripper clip or the clip inside the firearm and then, you know, you remove it, that is a clip. But here is a magazine, all right? This is a magazine and this is a cylinder, okay? So, not a clip, but a magazine, all right? If your handgun is semi-automatic, it is likely to use detachable magazine to hold and feed the ammunition. And revolvers, on the other hand, use a cylinder instead of a magazine, but both serve the same purpose, holding the rounds ready for firing, okay? Now, sights. Let's see if I can get this on camera here. Most of my firearms that are self-defense firearms will have night sights on them, all right? And what that means is you have a tritium insert. Let's see if I can get this on camera here. I'm not sure if you can see that. Tritium insert on the rear sights as well as the front, okay? Let's see here. Let's show this on camera here. There we go. So the white deals there, little dots, tritium inserts. Front sight has a big green section that is for picking up, because when you're firing, which I'm going to make some future videos on propering fire mechanics and stuff like that, but you are focusing on that front trigger. I mean, that front sight, sorry. Okay. So the sights help you aim by aligning your eye to the target. All right. The ejection port. So ejection port there, that right there. When the slide goes to the rear, 1911 is a little stiff, okay? Slide goes to the rear, that casing is going to fly backwards and it's going to hit, I don't know if you can see this little piece in here. Let's see, that little piece, oh, I'm terrible camera, sorry guys. Oh my gosh, I can't get that angle. There's a little piece in there and that is the ejector, okay? The piece of brass is actually going to be grabbed by, let me see, this one's easier to show you. This guy right here, there we go. This right here is your extractor. And what that does is it holds on to this little piece right here. Okay, so when the round is sitting in the chamber, the extractor claw comes up. Oh my God, this is so terrible, guys, I'm so sorry. The extractor claw comes up and hooks onto the edge of your casing there, okay? Let's see. There we go. All right. And then when the slide goes to the rear, the ejector is attached to the slide, essentially, and it pulls that back and it flings that casing out. Okay? Safety mechanisms. So some handguns have manual safeties, grip safeties, trigger safeties, and they're all to prevent accidental discharges. I like to use the word, it's more accurate, called negligent discharges. Typically, it's one of those things where, you know, it's not really an accident, it's more negligent, in my opinion, okay? Yes, sometimes firearms could be in, you know, not in correct working order, but there are function checks to do that, to check to make sure that your firearm is in working order. Anyway, so the SIG P365X macro, the line here, this one does not have any external safeties. My model, you can buy one that has an external safety, but this one does not, okay? This one here, there we go. Terrible with my camera, guys, sorry that. Basically, there is nothing stopping besides the trigger guard from it going to the rear, okay? There's a little wall there. The wall is called the part where it, you know, the mechanism, the slack gets taken up, and then you have a wall, and then past the wall it breaks. Okay? Now, there's that one. I'll go and keep that one up for you guys to see. 1911 has a manual thumb as well as grip safety. Okay, get that on camera here. All right, so if you drop the thumb safety and you press the trigger with the grip safety not engaged, it shouldn't fire, which it's not. Okay, revolver. There are no safeties typically on a revolver. Newer ones will actually have, the hammer will be flat here, and it will have a plate that slides up and down inside here. There we go. But this is an older model, it doesn't have it. So when you cock the hammer on a revolver, okay, the only way that I know of that you can open this cylinder here is that hammer's got to be forward. So you'll see people in the movies and they'll do stuff like this and they'll slowly let it go. And I'll do that again on camera here, but they hold the hammer, press the trigger to the rear, and they slowly let it go forward. That's like super sketch, okay? So what I usually do is I actually put my finger in the way, okay? I will put my finger in the way of the hammer, so that way, even if it accidentally falls, my finger is catching that, okay? So that right there, now I have way more control over it, okay? And letting it slowly go forward is a lot safer than just doing one of these numbers and doing it like that. That is too scary for JJ. All right, now we've gone over the basic, some basic nomenclature. I'm gonna further go in more in depth in terms of the things I didn't have written down here. But you have on semi-automatic handguns, you typically have a slide stop. Okay, there's that one on the 365 and on my 1911, that is a slide stop there. Okay, you also have on semi-automatic handguns a magazine release. Okay, it's right there and there. Sometimes the magazine release can be swapped over. Sometimes they're ambidextrous. Ambidextrous, in case you don't know, means that it can be operated from both the left and right side. Okay, my firearms here are not ambidextrous. However, I believe that this one, my SIG, can be swapped over. I know my Glocks can be swapped over, depending on the generation. Mine are all Gen 4 and above. But there's the magazine release for the 1911. It's got some knurling on it to catch. And of course, there's no magazine on the revolver, so there's no magazine release. Okay? So, all right. How to properly clear a firearm. What you want to do, okay, is you want to, first, let's go over grip. I know that this may seem like it's kind of out of order and I'm kind of all over the place, but I'm not really using a script for this one. I want to show you in one take that these weapons are safe, okay? When you grip a firearm, you want to be high on the grip there, okay? You don't want to see any daylight. You don't want to be gripping it like this. Okay, you see some people gripping it like this. You want to be nice and high on that beaver tail, okay? Now, I'm going to go ahead and use the 1911 because it's bigger for you guys to see. All right, another one. Nice and high. All right. Another thing you're going to see me do is I'm going to hold my handguns like this. And I've talked about it in the previous video, that I hold it, and I called it the chamber, but more accurately, my finger is high on the ejection port. Okay, because we're gonna use the ejection port later for the press check, but this is typically how I hold it. Okay, so you have a nice high grip on the firearm, on the handgun. You want to steer clear of the trigger because you don't know if it's loaded. All guns are always loaded. That's the first firearm safety rule. For me, my thumb is not long enough to reach. Let's see here, to reach the slide stop there. Okay, so what I have to do is I actually have to turn my grip a little bit, and I turn it this way, and I press forward pressure on the slide stop. I grip the top of the slide serrations here, okay? I grip the top of it, and I pull back, and I kind of press forward at the same time, all right? So as you can see, there's nothing touching the trigger. The weapon is pointed in the safe direction. which is kind of downwards to the ground. I don't live in a, I'm on the ground floor. Underneath me is a sub-basement, or I guess it's not a basement, it's like a subfloor. I can't remember what it's called right now, but anyway, back on track. Grip the slide with maintaining upward pressure on the slide stop, and you're going to pull back until it stops, all right? And what happens is that slide stop is stopping in a groove that is in the slide. Let's see if I can see that. There's a groove there. So let me slide it back forward again. You can see there's a groove right there. Okay, so upward pressure. You're going to grab over the top of the slide, and you're going to, as you're simultaneously pressing up on that slide stop, you're going to bring that slide to the rear. Okay. Now, once you have the slide to the rear, you want to visually, using your eyes, check inside the chamber here. Okay, the chamber, let's see if I can get a picture or a little angle for you here. There we go. Chamber is where the round sits inside there. Okay. You want to visually check and digitally. Pinky inside. I usually use my pinky. If your fingers are small enough, you could use your index finger. My pinky's small enough. So you can feel in there, it's a hole instead of something flat that'd be around in the chamber. And now your weapon is clear. Okay. You have to also make sure the magazine is released. I should have went over that. Okay. So we're going to do with the 365 magazine's inserted, and to properly clear this, you're going to drop the magazine, keeping your finger away from the trigger, using the thumb to press the magazine release. Okay. Dropping the magazine. Forward pressure, upward pressure on the slide stop, and you're going to press up on there. Press up, my goodness. I apologize, squad. You're going to press upwards on the slide stop onto the slide as you bring the slide to the rear. Okay. Once again, visually and digitally check to ensure the firearm is clear of any rounds. Now this firearm is clear. Okay. Revolver. Hold the revolver in your hand like this. There we go. You're going to press on the cylinder release there. On this particular model, you press it forward. Some models, you actually press it inwards toward the firearm. But this one, you press forward toward the cylinder. And then you go ahead and press forward and push it out. Okay? You can visually then see inside if there's any rounds. Okay? And typically, like when you unload it, it's kind of like this deal here. I'm not really trained in revolver. When I was an active police officer, I served with some guys that were old enough that their duty weapon was the revolver. I carried this particular 1911 for over 8 years, and it was amazing. And I recently swapped, not recently, toward the end of my police career, I swapped to back to the Glock, just because it has more rounds, and typically with the 1911, it has to be more tuned, and I'm really going off topic here. Okay, we're gonna go over the press check. You know what? Here we go. So, what is a press check? A press check is to make sure that you kind of like that you're checking to see if a round is in the chamber or not, okay? And I personally conduct press checks every single time the gun comes out from the place that I store it. When I'm ready to carry it, I'm doing a press check. Even if I'm the last one to put it in there, and I did it a day ago. Heck, even anytime it's coming out, I do a press check, because for me, it's the repetitions that matter, okay? So with the magazine, and the proper way to hold a magazine, this is a little tip if you guys are actually still watching this video, is when you hold a magazine, you're actually holding it in your hand in a manner, okay, that you are indexing that round with your index finger, okay? And the reason why you do that is so that way, even in the dark, you know that there's a round there and it's pointed forward. It's pointed in the correct direction. The reason why is because you can actually inadvertently load the magazine the wrong direction. It can be done. Okay? There's no way that the gun is going to fire with the round facing backwards. Okay? So if you index the magazine and you feel that it's flat, you know it's not gonna work. Okay? I guess I should go over how to load a round into the magazine. Okay? So you hold the magazine, you're going to press. See how there's this, it moves like that there. You're going to, what I do is I take the round, I stick on top, and I press down on the round there. And as I'm pressing down, I'm pressing both down. See, can I get this here? And I'm going to press and slide it back. Okay? Like ARs, like the AR-15s, those ones, the rounds you can just press down to load them. But the handguns typically have lips on the magazine, and those lips hold the rounds in place so they don't fly out this works. All right. Anyway, so properly indexing the magazine. All right. You have the slide to the rear, or you don't have to. I typically, if the slide is forward, that's fine. Index magazine, you're going to reach up. You're going to feel like this. I don't even have to look because I have indexed, right? Let me show you. Because you can do this and you know where it is, right? We have proprioceptors in our body, gives us a sense of space, and we know that we can touch our own hand, right? So that's another reason why you can do this without even looking. All right, index the magazine, insert. You're gonna press the magazine, fully insert the magazine into the handgun. All right, you're going to reach over the top of the slide. All right, not in front, over the top. Sometimes you'll see people, well, they'll do the slingshot method. The reason why I personally don't like the slingshot method is because it, and guys, I do apologize for saying a lot of ums and stopping. I am currently suffering from some pain stuff going on with my body, and I know it's too much information, but it's one of those things where you may see me leaning or standing over positions because it actually does hurt to stand for too long. So I do apologize for that, and hopefully it doesn't change the quality of this video for you guys, all right? So once the magazine is fully inserted into the firearm, you're going to reach over the top. You're going to grab this slide with the palm of your hand as well as your fingers, and you're going to push forward with the firearm hand, all right, strong side, and pull toward your shoulder with your support hand, all right? I know that sometimes it's hard for people to get that motion, but once you get it, and hopefully this is not too loud for you guys, so sound warning, all right? It's easy to do. The reason why I don't teach or show people to do slingshot method is because this is more refined motor skill. In terms of stress, in times of when your hands are cold, you will lose that dexterity. So I teach gross motor skill. Okay, bam, pull back. All right. Now, there are firearms with loaded chamber indicators. This one has a hole in the top. My Glock has one on the near the ejector area where it will protrude. The 1911, my 1911 here does not have one. So this is where the press check comes in. All right. So keeping your finger away from that trigger, up and high on the ejection port, you're going to reach up underneath. All right. We'll get closer to the camera for you guys here. You're going to reach up and underneath, grab the slide serrations, and you're going to pull the slide back. All right. That's kind of terrible. You guys can't really see that. Let's see if I can get it here. Hit. All right. I'm just going to see. Hopefully it'll hold. All right. Once again, up underneath. You're going to pull back with your support hand and pull back with your strong side index finger on the ejection port. Hopefully this is showing here. Oh, terrible angle. Okay, here we go. And you're going to pull back. All right. When you pull back, you're going to visually and physically feel that there's a round in the chamber. You do not want to go too far back with this, okay? If you go too far back with this, that round can induce a malfunction, all right? Now we have a malfunction, okay? The way I would clear this, tap, rack, round flies out, but show you again, all right? Up, underneath, index finger on the ejection port, pull back together. You are keeping the fingers away from the trigger, all right? You're pulling back. You are both physically feeling and you can also see down there just enough, all right? I would say this is only a third of the way back, okay? Then you can just let it go forward. Now, if for some reason the slide gets stuck, you can just kind of get a little tap tap and then it's ready to go. Now, if this had live rounds in it, it would be ready to go, okay? We won't go over function checks in this video because I unfortunately cannot stand for too long without, being in terrible pain, but I'm gonna meet you back at the desk where we do our closing, all right? Thanks, guys. And there you have it, the basic terminology of a handgun, how to properly clear a handgun, and the press check. Whether you're new to firearms or just brushing up on your knowledge, understanding these parts is a great step towards safe and responsible handling. If you found this helpful, let me know in the comments. And as always, only hit like, subscribe, or that notification bell if you think I've earned it. Catch you in the next one. JJ Actual, out.